Hello. So, when we're rebuilding a muscle or um, a journey or a pattern in our body that has been sitting in a space of fight, flight, or freeze, and we've identified it. So the first thing that's good is that we've identified it. We've either had a trigger or an awareness through physical movement or a body work or through someone else that this is a pattern that exists. We may have even gone into the past and discovered how that pattern came about in the first place. We may be still going through the process of blaming others for the pattern until we actually realize that it's now our little piece of gold. It's now our responsibility as we're living with this pattern. We've reinforced this pattern. It's become part of our daily routine in an unconscious, subconscious, and now conscious way. So as we're starting to stand up or become aware or stretch that muscle or expand that tendon or even move out into the space and occupy the space with it rather than because it was in retraction before. Yeah. So it's something that was naturally us, that a trigger happened and it was retracted. So as it starts to, or we start to move into space with that pattern, it can be quite vulnerable. See how I'm using my hand? Because it is like that. You can see our muscle doing this. You can see our tendon doing this, so like a rubber band. But this is actually what's happening with our energy. And see the slow pace of it? As we're moving in this pace, our nervous system is going to put alarm bells up and alarm bells up and alarm bells up. And we may retract back again. And then we might come out again. And we may retract back again. But every time we retract back, it never goes back to the same point that it was before. Because the pure fact that we've become consciously aware of it means that life force, light and energy has got into that area of our body mind. So I'm talking about this in a mental perspective because we mentally know it's conscious. And I'm also talking about it from a physical perspective. So physically, things are starting to change. So for me, at the moment, the muscle that I'm learning is the muscle of being able to speak like this, being able to share like this, being able to be bold enough or confident enough in what I'm saying, being able to back myself while I'm saying these things and letting go of the opinion or the care of others. So what I've learned over time is that I haven't been able to really express this muscle or this pattern due to the fact that I still hadn't really felt into my spine, felt into my ability or my capability. I still cared too much about others' opinions and what others thought, but I also still didn't believe in myself enough because I was listening to the feedback from others rather than the feedback from my own body and the desire to want to do something that satisfied me more than any feedback from another. So then it's not like I was being imprinted with pride or I was proud of myself. I was actually landing in my spine. I was landing in my body because I'd lived enough through my life to know that what I was saying was actually true. And it's actually something that I have experienced that has assisted me. So now that I have this new muscle and my spine is supporting me and I have the legs to walk my talk and I have the legs to walk in my stride, then my voice starts to open. And as my voice starts to open, I'm going to get feedback very close to home. So as I start to open, that feedback's going to come in from people who are closer than me, who really want me to stay the way that I was or the way that they expected me to be. Because it's uncomfortable for them to feel me in this different way. So in my nature, especially when it comes to my children, I have retreated and put their needs before mine, which is something that we do, and it's something we have to do as a parent. But at some point in our lives, we need to connect with the needs of ourself, especially when we're dealing with a need that is deep down in our child areas of our body, in our knees and in our ankles and in our feet. Because it's that one very thing that happened when you're a child that can destabilize your entire skyscraper. Now, my design is to stand up tall and to be tall and to build. I have very high expectations of myself. I have high ideals. I'm very humanitarian. I'm a very caring person. But as I reach up and do my work, I would find that I would come crashing down, or I didn't have enough security because there was those little itty bitty things in my stability that kept knocking me off course. Yeah? And so at some point in my life, I needed to go, actually, I understand that you know me to be this way and you feel me in this way. But right now I have to do what's right for me. Because ultimately, we are born in our bodies. We live in our bodies. When we're alone, we're in our bodies. When we're having fun, we're in our bodies. When we die, we're in our bodies. When we're challenged, we're in our bodies. And as much as people around us can support us, and they will, we ultimately need to find our own spine. We need to find our own capability, our own flexion, our own flexibility, and our own strength. Because by finding our own spine and our legs, it then helps us manage our chemistry, which is our emotional anatomy. So when these things come towards us and they trigger us and we get angry or we get sad or we get hurt, we've got something to fall back on. And we may have an eruption, but the eruption, and when I say the word eruption, the eruption of sadness or anger or rage or whatever it is not going to be as long-lived, because we're going to realize how much of our energy is going into that eruption. And we know that once the eruption has happened, we feel all of the information. We feel all of the wisdom that we need. And then we come back and we sit in it and we understand it as everything starts to land and starts to drop in our body. So right now, in this moment in time, I'm pausing and saying things to people from a place of presence. And it's challenging because I suppose I would color what I was saying in the past. And I'm not coloring it now. And that to me is scary, because my colouring of things has kept people where they are. And so when I remove that colouring of things and I just say it how it is, they could leave. They could say, I don't like you, or I don't want you anymore. And that's when we really know where we stand. And then when we know where we stand, we can then build, because we attract the people in our lives who feel our radiance, and they feel our values, and they feel our worth, and they understand us. Because before we do that, all they understand is the colouring, the person that's hidden behind, and then the one that we're pushing forward or projecting. That's today. See ya.